We are in Bromont, Canada, Quebec. And this is where my parents live, and this is where my father builds all the vans.
Right.
And today we are in luck because he's actually finishing a Neurovan 1995, a Neurovan 1995, and he's down to the ceiling part.
So we're going to show you exactly how we do it. A lot of people are asking questions regarding our ceilings.
Yeah.
But before we start, let's remind you that we are not the masterminds behind the ceiling.
No, the ceiling was created by Dave Walsh at Vanlife Customs, and it's the ceiling he installed in all of Native Campervan's first vans. And we thank him for the idea because we just stole it.
Yeah.
And today, we are meeting with the genius behind our van, Sylvain Fauché, my father. And
My father-in-law.
Your father-in-law, yeah. And
Yeah.
he's gonna show you step by step. He's actually gonna show you step by step everything you need to know to install and build this ceiling.
That ceiling
Right
and
behind
the
us.
ones that we've done in all of our vans.
So are you ready to get your hands
Dirty.
dirty? Let's go!
So to do this ceiling, you will need pine slats. How wide and how thick is this?
That's 2.5 inch wide, 3/4 thick
A plywood.
plywood, 1/4 inch thick. It could be good one side or rough, depending on the look you want to give to your ceiling.
Measuring tape.
Measuring tape,
Pencil.
that helps. Yep.
A sander.
Sander, or you can use.
Or you can
No.
use a regular brush. If you use a sander, you need sanding paper.
Yep,
This is grit P150.
that's it.
A nail gun and some nails, or just a regular hammer and nails.
Yeah, that helps.
That's really
Because
cool.
you got to do a lot of them.
Wood glue, paint, or stain. This is natural oil gel stain by Saman, and color is Pickling White 255.
Yep.
And then we also used a carbon gray stain. So screws, either a screwdriver or a drill, and a saw.
Well, we use one of these here. You can use a skill saw or a circular saw, depending on which one you have at home.
And in my case, I also need this guy.
Yay!
Design tip number 1. How do you choose your colors for the ceiling? You basically have 2 colors to choose. One for the background, so for the plywood, and one for the slats. We recommend using neutral colors like white, gray, beige, brown, or black. In all the vans we build, the ceiling are always around the walnut color, the bamboo color, or the white color. That way we make it easier for us to design the rest of the van with the same color scheme. And regarding color schemes, there's a good trick for you guys to make sure your van looks great. All the horizontal lines, like the floor, the countertops, and the ceiling should be around the same tones. As for the vertical lines, like the doors, the walls, and the cabinets, should also have their own little color scheme. So for example, here you have all white vertical lines and you have all walnut brown horizontal lines. That way when you get in the van, you're like, oh wow, that is so well designed. And in fact, it's not that well designed. It's just simple and easy to look at.
So what's the first step in building that ceiling?
Identify the size. The size can be, obviously is going to be limited by the size of the van, but by the structure of the van, the sides, the front and the back. So
Okay, so let's go measure.
you want to go measure?
Yeah.
We're going to be limited by how we want to finish with the side walls. In this case, we got beams, so that's straightforward. And in the case of this van, it's a pop-up tent that is on top. So our ceiling stops right about here. So, from the back to approximately here, so it's about 35.5 or so. And the width, if I remember right, once I finish is exactly 41 inches.
Okay, so now we know that the plywood that goes under needs to be 35.25 by 41,
Yep.
right?
35.5, 41.
But in a half. Oh, BC.
So we know we have 41 inches. How many of these are we going to need? I put a standard 2.5 and 3/4 in between just to see what it would give me. And we see that at 41 inch, I stop right about, a third of a slat right there.
Right.
That's not what we want. So we know that we have about 13 slats here at 2.5 inches. So the slats by themselves takes about 32.5 inches wide. We know we have 41. We have to fill 8.5 inches divided by 12 spacing. A spacing of about 0.7 inches in between is going to be perfect for us.
That's hardcore math.
That's hardcore math, but that's, as I said, a good ceiling, good looking ceiling is anywhere between slightly over 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and in this case 0.7 is bang on for us.
Ooh, these were hardcore calculations indeed. But here's the important part that my father said. He said the ideal gap in between your ceiling slats should be around 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And here's a simple trick to calculate the amounts of slats you're gonna need for your ceiling. You know we use 1x3 by the length you need. The 3 is actually 2.5 inch wide. Don't ask me why this is how it works in construction. Knowing that the ideal gap size is 0.5, just calculate with the gap size the amount of slats you need. Consider your slats with the gaps and you're good to go.
Okay,
So you got 13 times 35.5 inches to do on these 1x3.
35.5.
35.5. You're gonna go use the big beast.
Okay.
Get your glasses.
Okay, and then I gotta make sure it's aligned. Oh,
It is a line. Yep. See your 35.5 is bang on.
yep.
So now you can start and do 12 more.
12 more. All right.
We cheated already, so it's
all cut?
already cut.
So the next step,
Good idea to sand them now.
sand them. So the
Yeah,
next
you
step
can go
is
in
to
the
sand
rough,
them.
but if you don't sand them, your staining may take funny shapes and forms. So it's a good idea to sand. That way the gel and the staining is very equal.
Perfect. So let's stain.
Let's
No.
sand. You can stand one at a time.
Okay. So sand. Do I sand both sides and the ends, or just the side that'll be
The side
facing
that you
down?
need.
The side that I need. Okay. So
Good
now.
idea to wipe them out. You can use a wet towel.
So
that helps.
soft.
You're gonna need. Good idea to use some of these. Good idea to use your gloves. The beauty with gel stain. I didn't use that in the past. She's deadly. Gel stain.
Yep.
Great advantage of this. You can take your sweet little time. It takes forever to dry.
Like how forever?
A good 2 days. As I said, easy to put, and you can give it the color you want.
So now that it's sanded, it's stain time.
And then you cover your whole area everywhere, and then you decide on the level of white that you want to give it. See, if you stretch that white that you just applied, it's very light, right?
Yeah.
The tough part after that is to do the 12 others the same way. Same type
Yeah.
of white and same using the same approach. And a good way to do that is you leave the last one you did close to you,
And then you-
start, and then you follow what you just did.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about sanding. When I help my father in the shop, I'm always like, who gives a damn about sanding the wood anyways? But it sure makes a difference. When you sand the wood, it makes the surface of the wood more even. And you get rid of all the imperfections. That way your stain or your paint is gonna look more even and more controlled if you sand your wood before using it. Otherwise, you can go for a, rough-edged wood, but you never know how your stain is gonna react. And you might end up with clogs of stain or paint on your furniture, and you don't want that. And on top of that, when you touch it, it feels like a dolphin.
Okay, so on the plywood, we decided to go with a carbon gray stain, which we will apply here.
Yep. Well, we need to talk about that part first. We can use a lot of background. So some people want this type of look, or some people want it cleaner. If you want it cleaner, you need to sand it all over the place. and make it look the way you want. And remember, it's a paint and swipe. So put a lot on your brush. Use that part here.
Whoa.
I'll put it up. Put a lot. Start over again. So that's it. Put it all over the place, and then you put it on the side and you wipe right away.
Oh, nice.
So that's what you want to do. And the sanding part gives you a lot of these little doodads there. So you see the grain a lot. We got the whole area to do. And once we're done, we're going to be ready to assemble the slats. Nope. Always in the sense of the grain.
Always in the sense of the grain.
Always in the sense of the grain. That's it. Now you've got a good looking background ready to be used.
All right. So now that we stained the bottom ply, I guess.
The tricky part, again, it should be easy on this one.
Because it's smaller.
Short, but 12-foot long slats are not straight.
All right,
So the
wobble.
trick is to put them straight. You shouldn't have a problem. We'll take a look at what we got and see if it's going to work. Here's one way to take a look if your slats are straight. You put them all together and you see there's no bend, no nothing. They're all, so it will make this sealing easy.
Right.
If they were longer, and 90% of the time you do that and you see an arc. The one thing to remember, you're going to have to correct the arc, is to put them all in the same sense, same arc.
Okay.
So if they arc that way, put them all so that they arc that way.
Got it.
That way they're easier to correct, and if you put one that way, you're gonna have a lot of problems.
What? The pine slats we buy are not straight? That wood, although it looks straight from afar, is gonna have little curves in them. And like my father said, it's not a big deal, just as long as you align the curves. So if I give you an example with two naturals here, if you try to align the naturals and make them look parallel, it's quite easy. Don't try to bend them because you're gonna break them, but you can align them with the same kind of curve, you know? It works. Can you tell my slats are curved? Not really. But if you look carefully, you can tell there's a curve going left, like this, but the human eye can't see that. Don't worry about your curved slats, just align them. Make them spoon on your ceiling, and no one's gonna notice, ever. And if they notice, you know, it's a good conversation starter. It's like, hey, your slats are curved? Yeah, how's your daughter?
Okay, so now that we've painted this, the slats and the plywood, you need to put them on the board, and then you made these sliders to identify the space between each slat.
Exactly.
And then do you spread them all apart at once, or you glue the first one?
Nope, we start one at a time.
Got
we
it.
don't need any of that.
Okay.
Since we have a square or a 90-degree type rectangle here, we're going to use the side as a reference.
Yep.
We're going to put it there, and then we're going to start to assemble. There's an awkward way to do this, but it's probably the only good way. We want to take a look at it and see if it's straight once as we assemble it.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to have to nail from below.
Because you don't want to see the nails.
We don't want to see the nails.
Smart.
You happy with the position?
Happy
straight
with the position.
At the end, straight at the other end, right? So make sure that you're on the side.
Fuck. Now?
Yep.
Whoa, gosh. I think I'm good. Do I need another one?
Just one somewhere here.
Whoa.
Good idea to hold your part. See that one? So we don't need to glue it, and they're going to be straightforward. Now we use our spacers, and we start over again, right?
Okay.
And here's one last trick. You just saw one of the secrets that my father has to build perfect ceilings. And a lot of people are asking about that on Instagram. How come we don't see any nails on the pine slats? How do the pine slats stick to the plywood? And it's a simple trick. You nail them from behind. So you saw my father going like this under the table. He's basically attaching the slats from under. As simple as this. Your ceiling is gonna look fabulous. As fabulous as my salsa sauce here.
Edward, done the ceiling!
No, not quite.
What do you mean?
You got to put that in the van.
Right.
You got to put it the right way too, because you know a ceiling like that, Vanessa type, 12 foot long, that could be about 110, 120 pounds. So we need to put it solidly to the roof of the van. What we would do on a van like Vanessa or any type ProMaster, what we use is 4-inch type wood. You can buy that cheaply at any wood store.
So this is going to go on top, and then the ceiling is going to go like this.
Exactly, and as you can see, it's the width of the ceiling through these little slats here.
Let's do it.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Press it in place.
Yep.
We're gonna put at your end. You're gonna what? We're gonna fix that. Put it the right length. What we do is put the ceiling on, and we're gonna put beams to hold it together.
It's so exciting.
Remember, for a van, it adapts to the ceiling,
Oh, that's cool.
so we're gonna use it that way.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna put it all the way to the end. Hopefully it's gonna squeeze right in.
Oh,
There we go.
I think we should push it back a bit.
Hang on, we can do that after.
Okay.
Okay? There we go.
Nice.
Now we're in position. And now we can take our sweet little time to screw.
All right.
That's it, guys. That was the instruction, step-by-step video, Super Instruction 2000 about the ceiling. How do we make my ceiling? There's something very different between this ceiling and the ceiling you can see in our van.
Yeah, this one is a really, really short version.
Mm-hmm.
The one in our van is about, what, 140 pounds, so you
Yeah.
will need an extra pair of hands
Yeah.
to put it in place. Ask a friend, get some booze and some pizza, and he'll come, that's for sure. Have fun, play with the colors. This one is really light, it's like off-white. The one in our van is very dark, it's like
Walnut.
chocolate walnut.
Yep.
And then we also tried like a woodish bamboo
Oh yeah,
ceiling that
it's
was
true.
really, really nice.
It's almost like yellow beige. It's very nice, yeah.
So play with the colors, have fun, show us what it looks like. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. If you want to give some love to Dave at Vanlife Customs, who is the mastermind behind the ceiling.
Yeah, check
Do
his
it.
link below. We're gonna put his link right there. You can check all the vans he built recently. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Many countries, I have nothing to be funny.
Pretty.
Okay.
Goodbye.
See you next week.